Let's bring in Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares. General, great to see you. Your reaction to the outrage from the left?
Well, I have to admit it's a little bit surprising because what the Supreme Court essentially did is striving to what others in the civil rights movement always fought for. It says we're not going to judge individuals by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And we're in a very different society than we were in when affirmative action was started. We're in a very multiracial, pluralistic society. And the reality is this was a case brought by a lot of Asian American students who felt like they were being discriminated against. In my home state of Virginia, I've talked to parents that their children have had a 1580 on the SAT over a 4.0. They've been denied admission at UVA and some of our top universities. And so you've seen this around the country. It seems like anti-Asian bigotry seems to be the only acceptable form of state-sanctioned bigotry in the country today. And that was the heart of this lawsuit, was so many kids that are being discriminated against. And I don't think we should live in America where some child is being denied their dream of chasing their aspirations just because of who they are. I don't think that should be the goal of what we're striving for. I think that's what the Supreme Court talked about and what they laid out, I think, clearly in their decision.
Because what this is elevating one person and taking away a slot from another person. It's not fair. And so, point well made. The Supreme Court did deal that blow to affirmative action yesterday, Jason. And you led a probe into high school admissions and merit awards over racial discrimination. Tell us about that.
Well, we're looking at in Fairfax, it's our largest public school system in the state. They hired an equity consultant out of Berkeley, California, paid this person $455,000 for about 9 months of work. They come up with an equity strategic plan that said, and I quote, equal outcomes for every student without exception. And they also said to get to these equal outcomes, they recommended these school districts had to treat some students, in their words, purposefully unequally. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in America where we are treating some students purposefully and equally. And so we launched this investigation because we saw Thomas Jefferson High School, one of the most prestigious governor's schools we have in the state, if not in the country. We saw after they adopted a new equity-based admissions policy there, we saw close to a 20-point drop in admissions of Asian American enrollment there. And so that's exactly what we're getting into. We're investigating, listen, are they in the process of, did they adopt this equal outcomes for every student without exception? Does this mean they were purposely discriminating against some of our Asian American students? And if so, then we will reach that threshold and people will be held accountable.
And Jason, you gave a keynote speech at the naturalization ceremony in our Commonwealth of Virginia at Patrick Henry's Red Hill. What's your message as we all gear up to celebrate their first Independence Day as Americans?
Well, one of my earliest childhood memories was my mother coming into our kitchen and asking me to teach her the Pledge of Allegiance because she had to learn it for her naturalization ceremony. And I saw that just as a child. And so it was an honor, one of the honors of my life whenever I get to speak at these and welcome these new Americans into our American family, as we say. And I will tell you this, I tell my daughters gratitude's the most underrated of all human traits. Ingratitude's probably the ugliest, but gratitude's the most underrated. And those new Americans have such gratitude because they know this is indeed that last best hope on earth. And I think it's important for all your viewers to just pause and think that for the majority of people on this planet, in fact, 99% of every human being that has ever lived on this earth did not live in a society that had freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press. And the way we live our lives, we think is normal. If you look at the totality of the human experience, it's abnormal. Those are precious freedoms we have. And I think it's so important on this July 4th day that we pause and we have gratitude for the fact that we live in a remarkable country.
No doubt.
I'm reminded of what an Italian immigrant said when they laid eyes on the Statue of Liberty. They said that's the greatest light the world has ever seen since the Star of Bethlehem. I know I feel that in my bones. I know a lot of your viewers do as well. And I hope they have a blessed 4th.
Jason Miyares, beautiful message. Thank you. Have a happy 4th yourself with your family. Thanks for joining us.